Good afternoon. This is Richard Massey with Civil Plus Structural Engineer Magazine, and I'm here with Jeevan Kalanithi, who is co-founder and CEO of OpenSpace, which has the potential to disrupt the construction industry. Jeevan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Great. Yeah. Well, I got your press release the other day about your $14 million Series A funding for OpenSpace. And so just go ahead and talk to us about what this funding means for your company and tell us a little bit about what OpenSpace does.
Sure. Yeah. I'll tell you what OpenSpace does. In a nutshell, we create 100% complete visual records of any site, indoors or out. And the key thing is we've made it extremely easy to do, labor-free. So a worker, whether it's a laborer, superintendent, PE, engineer, walks the job as they normally do. All they do is they strap on a 360 camera. These are cameras you can buy on Amazon, so we don't make the hardware. And what we do is we take that video file in our proprietary computer vision engine, takes that dumb video file and takes every single picture that's being taken on that video and maps it to a floor plan. And it's so easy to use that most of our customers use it every week or even every day. So what we provide is a visual ground truth of the job site that you can visit from anywhere at any time.
Right, and it sounds obvious that this will be beneficial, but what are the benefits of this technology and the information that it produces?
Yeah, there's a set of them. The first is, as you readers probably know, almost every single contract requires some form of visual documentation of a job site. Mm-hmm. What we've done is we've made that not only a lot cheaper than hiring someone or asking the actual builders to do it, we made it a lot faster and a lot easier, and then more complete. And because it's more complete, our ability to handle things like risk over the long term, you now have data to resolve problems, whether they're something that happened a week ago or 5 years ago. It also helps you manage the job site more efficiently on a day-to-day basis. So whether it's an RFI or an observation, safety issue, QA, QC, now our customers will just look and see what was there without literally having to physically be there. And they're able to investigate the issue and, most important, communicate and share that information. I can just show your customers or I can show your users really quickly what it looks like.
Sure, yeah.
So this is an example of our system. Here is a job site. Mm-hmm. And as you can see, you can look around at everything. We can look in the ceiling, down below. We can take a little virtual walkthrough here. So, and this is all accessible on a phone or a browser, so it's really easy to get access to. Here's the floor plan, and this green squiggle here is what that person did when they were walking around.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and so I can kind of warp over to any spot I want to, and now I'm in this spot. I can travel through time. I can click on any of these dates to compare progress from one date to another. So now I can see any change, if there's any change from one day to the next. And I can even compare this to the BIM as well. So if I have a model, I can actually look at the reality on the left here and then the model on the right. And it's a full-featured BIM viewer, so you can look at every single detail that you might want. That's just a snapshot of what the system does. Does a lot more than just this, but the summary is that it's a fully complete record of your site that you can look at from anywhere, and it's really focused on ease of use.
Wow, yeah, this is amazing. So, reading through your collateral, Jeevan, you and your colleagues went to MIT, obviously one of the most prestigious technology institutes in the world. And it seems like some of this technology kind of came out of some of your and your colleagues' studies at MIT. And let's talk about that, like how long this technology has been under construction.
Yeah, that's a great question. And my co-founders are Mike Fleischman and Philip DeCamp. We all met as graduate students at MIT at the Media Lab. And both Mike and Philip did their PhDs in computer vision and AI. That's something I studied there as well, and something I studied as an undergraduate. Mike and Philip's work really focused on analyzing massive amounts of video to pull out insights, which is very much of what we're doing today at OpenSpace for builders and anybody in the real estate development and AEC industries. And their original work was all about analyzing huge amounts of video coming from a house. And that actually started their first company, which was not in our space, but was in the general internet space. That company ended up being one of Twitter's biggest acquisitions before Twitter IPO'd. And then I started a company as well after undergraduate. And that was a hardware company, which I sold to a company called 3D Robotics. And that's what really got us into the space. So 3D Robotics is a drone company. I was eventually the president of that company. We launched a drone, and then we launched a product called SiteScan in partnership with Autodesk. And that scans job sites from the air. So in a lot of ways, what OpenSpace is doing is taking some of the things that I learned, building products for this industry, and a lot of the technology work that Mike and Philip have been working on for 10 years around organizing image data, and combines those two things into a product and a platform for builders everywhere.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. So this open space technology that you're now going to market with, or in the market with, it's been under development for quite a while now.
That's right. Yeah, it has been. And because this is our second company, we've done this before. We knew that we wanted to take some technology that we knew well, patent it, do all that good stuff, and then essentially make sure that we're customizing it and building it for the use case. OpenSpace was an idea that was really generated in the field on job sites, right. By spending a lot of time with builders that I'd gotten to know my previous company, and we realized that we could take a lot of the technology that we had built before and adapt it for this industry. Right.
Well, you're based in San Francisco. For me, I still consider that Silicon Valley, although Silicon Valley is a little bit south, but you're there in the thick of it. And one of the consistent messages that you hear coming out of that part of the country is, disruption of the industry, and to create something that's going to revolutionize the way people do business, the way they think, whatnot. So, looking at construction and disruption with your technology, what are you hoping this does to the construction industry, or for it?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, and I think a lot of people do talk about disruption, and there's something to that in terms of creating companies that can go after large markets. I think for us, the most important thing was to build something that was very practical, very useful, and very simple for the men and women of this industry. I've seen a lot of companies that have a whiz-bang, neato thing, but no one really wants to use it. We have a phrase around here that tech companies don't fail because they can't get their technology to work. They fail because they make something no one wants to buy or use. So we wanted to make sure that we were doing something that solved a real problem, which is, I want to know what's going on my site, and it's just too hard to get to floor 36, unit 32, even if I'm on the job site, to say nothing if I'm across the country or even across town. And so we wanted to make sure we're solving a problem that the industry has today. But to your point, we really do believe that this type of data that we're providing will be absolutely standard. Maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years, I think people in the industry will be annoyed, irritated, and mad if they're unable to look at their job sites in the way that we're providing today. I think it'll be absolutely normal. And I think what that'll do is it'll mean that a lot of the workflows that people are used to today and take for granted will be very simplified. Even just taking the humble RFI. Everybody's dealt with a request for information, and as the recipient of them, oftentimes it's not clear what the person that wrote it is even talking about. With our tool, we make it very easy to add that context, visual context, and we think it's just going to simplify a lot. So yeah, my summary answer to your question is while we want to do something that's useful today, that's easy to adopt and doesn't require the users to do anything new or learn anything, we do believe that it'll become a standard operating procedure in the industry, and not too far from now.
Right, and OpenSpace obviously at the forefront of that movement.
Yeah, we think so.
Yeah. Well, now, Jeevan, looking at your background and talking to you now, it's obviously, you know what you're doing, and you're coming to market with your Series A funding. Talk about the role of entrepreneurship. This is your second big company, and the role of entrepreneurship and what you have to do to be sitting here talking on a Zoom video with someone like myself, to get out there.
Yeah, well, I think it takes luck. It takes, of course, some hard work, and just luck, hard work, being a keen observer of what's going on, and then just some empathy. Ultimately, companies exist to serve their customers. That's it. And if you're not doing that, then you're going to have a short lifespan. So I think for us, we try to focus on those things. And I think in particular, from an entrepreneurship point of view, we feel like the biggest opportunities to make a dent on behalf of our users come from two things. One, you need to really understand the customer, which means trying to walk a mile in their shoes. Half the people here have worked in the construction industry, and I tried to do my best to spend some time on job sites. You need that, but you also need a little bit of distance. And this is where I think technology companies can be useful, because in fact, we have technology people here that didn't know anything about construction. That might sound bad, and in some ways it is, but what's good about it is it allows us to have a fresh perspective on the problems. So some of the things that we don't notice can be quite helpful. So if you're working every day on a job site, you've got a lot of things that you notice are wrong, but you may not know that you could solve it in some new way. And so that's kind of where we come in, is we try to keep apprised of what those new ways are, what the disruptive things are coming out from a technology point of view. For OpenSpace, that is, the development of cameras are getting better and better and better. Everybody sees that in their smartphones, but we see it with 360 cameras, all these new ways of capturing the world. And computer vision, robotics, and AI is getting better and better and better, which means we can take all that data these cameras are generating and process it into something usable. So these are trends that we're aware of. Spent a lot of time on job sites to see how we could build a better mousetrap. And then you just work hard and you take some risks. You have your hypotheses, you try to test them. At a certain point, you feel like you have enough confidence and you give it a shot. That's where we were 2 years ago. We had a real aha moment where a project manager kind of told us what to build. And we said, okay, that's enough evidence, let's go for it. And then worked on the idea for about a year in stealth mode with a couple builders like Turner Construction, Hathaway Dinwiddie, and they bought it. And we've been growing rapidly ever since. Now we have customers have captured almost, actually more than 150 million square feet of data in a short period of time. So we're growing fast. But yeah, I mean, just to answer your question, it takes a little luck, little empathy, little observation, and then ability to just take a risk and go for it.
Great. And these are short interviews, but I wanted to ask you, and great answer, by the way, I appreciate your candor there. The 14 million Series A funding, so that's a pretty decent chunk of cash, So as an entrepreneur and the co-founder and CEO of this company, where do you drive that funding? How does that benefit your company?
Yeah, totally. So first I should talk about the funders themselves, and then
Sure.
tell you a little bit about what we want to do with it. We are a technology company, so we're backed by, venture capitalists, some deep-pocketed venture capitalists with, $3 billion under management, like Lux Capital Foundation, people that back companies like Netflix. So we have that in our DNA. A number of our investors are directly from the industry, though. So we have general contractors like Suffolk Construction, owners like Tishman Speyer, WeWork, which is kind of in everything. owner, builder, you name it. JLL from the kind of owner's rep and real estate side. So we brought together a bunch of folks that can help us understand the market even better. And that's been massively useful for us to make sure we're building something of value. And what we want to do with the funding is pretty simple. I mean, I think we feel quite confident that we built something that has immediate value, that people are using all the time. Like, our numbers don't lie, they tell us that. Mm-hmm. So we're not in experimental stage anymore. What we want to do with the funding are two things. One, make sure people know about us. So grow our sales and marketing team so people can be aware of what we're doing. And if they want to try it, buy it and use it, they can. So there's no underestimating the importance of that and making sure we're funding that well, sales and marketing. And the second thing we want to do from a technology and product point of view is really what we have today is product number one. Yeah, it's useful. You can strap a camera on your hard hat, get all this data, share it, and it really works well. Integrates with project management systems like BIM 360 and Procore and BIM models that you've seen. So that's great. And I'm happy with it, what we have today. But there's a lot we can do with this data too. So we want to use the funding to do more computer vision work, to build analytics products, things that can compress this information and help people run their job sites even better. So yeah, in summary, we want to expand more on sales and marketing and start to build even more products that use all the data that our customers are collecting to build better products for them in the future.
Right, and that's going to be, that's a big undertaking, obviously. Great. So it looks like OpenSpace is doing great these days.
Yeah, it's doing great. We've had a lot of cool things we've been able to do, like that BIM viewer I showed you is pretty new. Our system is really fast. I want to emphasize that. This is something we've gotten to work where it learns, so the more you walk a job, the faster it gets. We're getting results essentially real time. So the average turnaround time is 15 minutes. As a lot of people that are watching this or hearing this will know, is that scanning technologies like lasers can take days or even longer to get a result back. Okay. Ours is down to, 15 minutes. And so it allows our users to use this information for a lot of other things. And so we're pretty excited about that. It's been cool to see the engineering team here, which I take a lot of pride in. We're world class. We have people that are joining us that are turning down offers from self-driving car companies like Waymo to join us, and that's pretty exciting. And it allows us to build these really cool things that make our customers' lives easier.
Well, and it's going back to what you're saying earlier about the usefulness of a technology, or if people need it or want it or whatnot. And this is construction. These are the big boys. This is even in an economic downturn, things slow down, but there's always going to be a market for building houses and buildings and offices and all that. So it seems like this technology that OpenSpace has, it has a big application, a deep application into really global markets, right?
Yeah, we think so. We have customers across the country, but across the world as well. Brazil, Japan, Australia, EU. And we're pretty excited to see the product grow pretty rapidly. And we think it has a lot of applicability. We think because, like I said, it's really easy to use. This is something that doesn't require any training, doesn't require a big startup cost. It's not expensive. It means people can try it out really quickly. So we have customers that are doing 3-month renovations and TIs, like small projects, all the way up to mega projects, data centers, hospitals, and even beyond into heavy civil infrastructure projects. And I think that's mostly inbound interest. I think it's just a sign that the tool has got a lot of value for all different kinds of projects. And you're totally right. Economic downturn or no, there's always going to be a need to build buildings. And I think we're all within the industry and outside it are all acutely aware of a lot of big problems that we have in this country and across the world that we need to solve by by building things, whether that's rebuilding infrastructure, creating more housing for people in cities. I mean, these problems aren't going away anytime soon.
Great. Well, Jeevan, I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, it was absolutely my pleasure. Thanks for having me on. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. And I wish you nothing but the best. And have a great day in San Francisco. And we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right, later on. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.